If you are thinking of spinning up your very own self-hosted instance of NetBird, now there is really no better time. And that is for two key reasons. First, our self-host quick start script has been updated and improved, including Caddy as a built-in automatically configured reverse proxy, or the ability to select and generate the configurations for a reverse proxy manager of your choosing. And now when you self-host NetBird, you have the ability to create local users, all 100% managed directly through the NetBird management dashboard, completely removing the reliance on an external identity provider. But it does get better, and that is because actually adding external identity providers is so much easier. Basically, any OIDC compliant provider can work directly with NetBird, and you can add these providers directly through the NetBird management dashboard. And we have updated documentation to match, whether if you're trying to use a managed provider such as Google, Entra ID, JumpCloud, Auth0, or Octua, or if you're running your very own self-hosted version of something like Pocket ID, Citadel, Authentic, and Keycloak. All of these documentation pages include a section on configuring JWT group claims, allowing you to sync groups from some of these identity providers. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you all of this in action and show you how easy it is to set this up for yourself. Real quick on the docs, we have the quick start guide here with the new quick start script, but if you're interested in integrating external identity providers, if you want to go beyond the local user functionality, under here, under authentication, you could get a lot more information on the authentication and identity providers that are supported, as well as more information on that local user management, learn more how it's actually implemented and how it works, which big shout out to the open source project Dex, as that is a stack that we embedded into NetBird management to allow you to do all this stuff. Which here's just a quick example of the instance I was testing all this out on. Got a little crazy here, making sure that some of these worked. You can see I do have a couple options for how I want to sign into this. And if I go ahead and click on one of these, such as Pocket ID here, it's going to take me to my self-hosted instance of Pocket ID. And then I could just use my key there. And just like that, we are going to be signed in, which again, I was just testing this. Now there are going to be a couple minor prerequisites to get all this working, and the first thing that you're going to want is an actual domain name with an A record pointing to the IP address of the server that you're going to be installing NetBird onto. And right here you can see that I have the NetBird subdomain pointed to one of my personal domain names. And of course we are going to want an actual server here. I just have this spun up on a random VPS to go ahead and test this out. And the other thing we're going to want to do is, of course, we're going to make sure our server is up to date. So apt update and apt upgrade, just run everything, and this is going to be all running with Docker. So this will work on basically any Linux distribution that you can run Docker on. So to actually install Docker, I'm just going to use their official installation script directly from their website, and there we go, it's done. And since I'm already running as root, I don't need to do this, but if you're not running as root, it's recommended to use usermod AG to add your user to that Docker group. Run new group Docker to refresh, and then you're good to go. Now from there, that's essentially all of the prerequisites. So all we need to do now is go back over to the quick start guide in the documentation. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and grab this download script here. So let's give that a copy. So go ahead and drop in that command into your terminal. This will look a little bit different when everything is live, but once you hit enter, first it's going to ask you what the NetBird domain is that you're going to be using. So for me in this demo, it's just going to be NetBird at my personal domain. And then once you hit enter, it's going to ask you what proxy you want to use. For this, I'm going to go with the built-in Caddy one, but you can see with Traffic, for example, it will add labels to the containers. With Nginx, it will generate the configuration templates. Proxy Manager, it gives you the instructions. Overall, just some more flexibility in how you want to get this set up. So let's go ahead and go with the default 0 option. And just like that, it is going to spin up all of these containers. And there we go, everything's created. So now you can see it's waiting for the management server to become ready. And then when done, it's going to give us our URL that we're going to want to navigate to. From there, we could just paste it on in, navigate to it, and then you could see now it says welcome to NetBird. So here we can just fill it out. So gave it my name, an email address, a password. We create our admin account, and just like that, we're done. We could go to the login, type in our credentials, and then go ahead and click on sign in. And then just like that, we're NetBird. We have our onboarding flow, so you could go ahead and go through that if this is your first time setting up NetBird. I'd recommend it. It's very helpful to get you up and ready with some peers, some networks, but for now, I'm just going to skip to the dashboard, because we're going to be focusing on the actual accounts. So to go ahead and add more users, all I would do is head over to team, go to users. We could click on create user right here. We fill this out. So if we created our very own John Doe, type in the email, and here you could assign a role. So you can make them a network admin, the auditor, or a regular user, meaning they don't have access to all these backend controls in the NetBird management dashboard. We'd want to add them to a group. So let's say I had a dev group for the developers. I would just create the user, and then we would get a password right here. So you'd send that password over to the user, have them change it once they sign in, but I could copy and close, and look at that. We have a user right there managed completely within NetBird. Now I did mention if you prefer single sign-on and you do want to use an IDP, that is incredibly easy. All we need to do is go over here to settings, and then right here under identity providers, we can add a new identity provider. This will come up. So if I go to provider type, of course, any OIDC provider will work for this, but we have some here to go ahead and help you configure it. So for example, in this case, let's say I just wanted to set up one with Google. I'd hit Google, and all we're really going to need is our client ID and client secret. In the NetBird docs under self-hosted authentication, if I go over to Google Workspace, we have all the steps and everything that you're going to need to do to get those tokens. And it is actually a pretty straightforward process. Let's just go ahead and do it real quick. So here we have the Google Cloud Console. I am already in a project here. So if you don't have a project, just go ahead and create a new one. And then from there, we are going to head over to API and services. And then we're going to go over to credentials. You can see one I created there for testing earlier. I go ahead, hit create credential, and we're going to want the OAuth client ID. So go ahead and click on that. If you don't already have one, it's going to prompt you to create an OAuth consent screen. Just go ahead and do that. It's a pretty straightforward process. And then from there, to create our client ID, we are going to select web application as our type. This is going to be NetBird demo. I'll go ahead and delete this later so I don't have to blur out the tokens. And then right here under authorized redirect URIs, we're going to add a URI, go back over to our NetBird dashboard, give that a copy, and then just drop it in right here, and then scroll down a bit and go ahead and click on create. Once that's created, we're going to have the information that we need, so we could copy this client ID, drop it on into our client ID section, and then grab the client secret, give that a copy, and then drop it on in there. And then we click add provider, and that's about it. And to show you this in action, if I go over here, let's just log out of my instance. So I'm logging out of my local user. You can see now under sign in, we have the continue with Google option. So if I go ahead and click on that, I'm going to select one of my Google accounts and hit continue. And then just like that, it's going to sign us in, or at least partially. You can see I'm pending user approval. That's because I have that option enabled by default, so people can't just sign up for it. But if I went ahead, signed out here, and then re-logged in with my local admin user or my local owner, and then go over to team, users, you could see a third user now. We have me, I'm pending approval, so all I would do is hit approve. And then if I wanted to, I could add this user to a specific group, just like that, save the group, and then maybe change my user role. So if I did that, just by going over to admin, just so I can see the entire dashboard and do everything. And then from there, if I log out, continue with Google, you can see that now I'm in and I have full management control over everything just like that. In a couple minutes, I have not only set up the entire NetBird stack for self-hosting, I've created local users, and I integrated a single sign-on provider. So just overall, I'm really excited about this new implementation. I'm really excited to hear your guys' feedback and what you all think, so do let us know in the comments down below. Again, our documentation is full of a bunch of helpful information, more information on how all this is working in the backend, and our advanced guide, which goes over the ports and things that you're going to need to open if you're wanting to do this in like your local home lab environment. Also, quick note, if you do have a self-hosted instance already running with Citadel using our previous quick start script, that instance is going to completely work fine. If it's working for you, you're not going to need to do anything. But here under Citadel, we do have a migration little template. We'll work on a full kind of more complete guide soon. But option A, what I just discussed, is just keeping it how it is. You're going to be fine. You can add your existing Citadel instance as an external IDP directly through NetBird if you'd like to do that. Or you could do the kind of manual migration process of migrating all your users. But if you're a home labber or a small organization, it's not going to be too much trouble. Additionally, if you followed our advanced guides to get some of this set up with something like a Pocket ID, for example, All this has been updated with the new implementation, but if you scroll down to the standalone advanced guide, which you can see right here, if you click the link, it will take you to the original guide, which all will still work fine. So the entire process, all the way down to setting up your custom environmental variables and everything, is going to be cross-compatible with this new version. So with all that, again, please let us know your comments down below. Try it out, tell your friends, and with all that, we will see you in the next one.